Thanks for coming back to the History Pulse podcast channel. And today we're going to be talking about how to build up the skills for putting things in your own words. And it's nothing that involves any sort of new technology. In fact, it is going back to basics, and it is palm cards, index cards, and getting away from the keyboard and putting things down in longhand onto paper, but also the reason we're using the index cards and not a workbook, which depending on how much paper you want to be using and all that sort of stuff, you could probably make it work in a workbook or an exercise book. It's just going to set a really clear goal for how much writing we want for our kids. So when we are at the front of the room and we're lecturing and we're talking and we're showing slides and we're putting on our big performance, when we get to the end of the 15 minutes, there's this really short window that we have where the kids need to be able to go over that information again and try to condense it and think about it and wrestle with the ideas that we've talked about. If they just walk out afterwards, when we move into the next lesson, and it might be the next day, or it might be 2 days, 3 days, or even next week over the weekend, most of it's going to be gone. And what we want to do is try to have a lesson link, as well as set some really good habits about how they can do that. So what we're going to do is something like this. On your index card, you are going to set a really clear routine that you're going to try to do every single day in the last 5-10 minutes of your lesson. So that might involve you setting some sort of an alarm on your laptop or on your phone, or you might just be really good with time. And you are going to pull out these index cards, and you can buy them bulk, like 500 for 20 bucks from Officeworks or Amazon or wherever. And you're going to get some of these cards and you're going to hand one out to every kid. And you're going to try to make this a solid routine every day. The first thing that you're going to be doing is getting them to write down the overall topic. You would be shocked, and I am still shocked, that when you have, say, one of your executives come in and they're asking the kids, what are you learning here today? That the kids, in some circumstances will still be saying, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on. And they're totally passive. It's just like washing over them. So that is why we start with the overall topic. And in this case, for Year 7 history, it would be ancient Rome. And for the entire topic, every time they get a palm card, and we're going to be using both sides of the palm cards, it's going to be ancient Rome. But they need to write that every single lesson. Underneath, we are then going to be writing the lesson title. So the lesson title might be your learning goal, might be part of your success criteria. And if you don't use any of those like setups, it might just be the subheading or the title for your lesson. So in this case, we've got ancient Rome. Subcategory is the geography of Rome. Then underneath is where we're getting into the reflection. And I would advise that you give more than 5 minutes, otherwise they're not going to do it properly. So you really try to give 10 minutes or so for really the good kids to be able to have a chance to get it to you, and you can maybe push it back if it's not good enough. And the kids who are going to drag a little bit, there's enough time for them to not just scoot out, not having done it. They're now going to do their lesson summary. And you can see that there will be all these things. There might be all these notes. You might have done a worksheet. You might have done a video. Here's a chance for, and it's not just one sentence. That's what we need to hit on. That you're not just writing one sentence. We're trying to write paragraphs. We're trying to write complex sentences, linking a few things together. And you can see here, for this example that I've done, Rome was a huge and vast empire with its heart in Italy. Italy is shaped like a boot, and Rome is in the middle on the west side. To the north is the Alps mountain range, and to the south is Pompeii and Mount Vesuvius. Now, in that particular lesson, we talked about the Mediterranean Sea, we talked about where like the far reaches of Rome are, and the fact that the Roman Empire was touching down into North Africa. But because the lesson summary is condensed onto this one index card, the kids have got to think about, okay, what were my main takeaways? Did I have any main takeaways? Can I fill out the card? And that then gives them a chance, whilst the information is fresh, while they have the notes there in front of them, they can think about, okay, what's my summary going to be? This is what it means to put it into my own words. It's not being told what to write, it's not rewriting the notes. It's what do I remember right now in this 10 minutes? Let's go, let's get it done. And can I bring up specific examples from the lesson? When they are done, make sure they initial the palm card or the index card. This is going to be important because you are going to collect these as exit slips. That's also going to help from a form of informal feedback for you, that if you have the time, and I know we're all bloody smashed for time, but it at least gives you a chance to see who's completing the palm cards at a glance. And if you've got time, you can drill down to it a little bit more and you're collecting some evidence on the fly. But really the main thing is that they're going to get this palm card back. So when you come into the next lesson, what you're going to do is you're going to have the palm cards, you're going to give them out at the beginning or whatever stage of the lesson you want to do, and there's your lesson link straight away. It's, this is what we did last lesson and this is what you said. So we are building on this now. And when you get to the end of the lesson, last 10 minutes, again, we can use the flip side of that palm card. They initial it, you keep it again, and then we can recycle to a fresh one. And then it's going to be up to you and the kids what they do at that point. You give them a bit of agency. You can say, okay, these need to be kept by yourself. You might want to keep them all. I would argue that you're probably going to have a lot of palm cards, especially if you've got like 4 or 5 classes. So you got to find out what works for you. But this would be my advice for teaching kids how to put the knowledge that we give them into their own words in a very consistent and very routine way. And hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank you for coming back to the History Files podcast. I'm Blake Hamilton. Cheers.